The realm of Western-themed video games has always been a challenge, as they have to balance historical authenticity with engaging gameplay. We all can't be Red Dead Redemption 2 with engaging gameplay, well, kind of somewhat boring gameplay, but much more realistic in the style of the setting. But today we're looking at a game set in the West, but very much more of a simple game style. One with a simpler story and a more arcadic game style. One that is part of a series that was kind of an underrated gem. But before we go any further, welcome to Stay Tuned on Gaming. I'm your host Damon, where we get to talk about video games for as long as I want. Today we're going to be looking at Techland's forgotten series of games, the Call of Juarez games. Most certainly the fourth in the series, the underrated classic, the hidden gem, Call of Juarez Gunslinger. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe and comment down below. How did you feel about Call of Juarez Gunslinger? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I really did enjoy my time with it, so let's get into the game. Now, if you don't know the Call of Juarez series, you're not alone. Many people do not, and neither do I, really. I remember when these games came out, Call of Juarez and Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, was set in the West and they always featured like two protagonists. I never played these games, but I did hear that they were actually pretty well received. Except for its third game, Call of Juarez the Cartel, which I was told is a complete dumpster fire. I looked at some of the gameplay and I thought to myself, well, these are pretty fun to look, but they're also really not available everywhere. Except for the fourth game in the series, Gunslinger. Now, Gunslinger has no attachment to any of the other games, so you can play this without having to play any of the last games, which I think is actually pretty good. So I loaded up Gunslinger because a lot of people said that this is a really forgotten title and a really good game to just pick up and play. So I decided to play it, and what I found was a really fun title that I think everyone should just pick up here and there. It's nothing like Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's much simpler, much more fun, and just a good time overall. Let's get into Call of Juarez Gunslinger. The story of Gunslinger isn't your typical narrative you usually see in video games nowadays. Instead, it's more of a narrative tale told by your character Silas Greaves, a grizzled bounty hunter who starts to recount his experiences to a captivative audience in a salon. And through this, he gets to rub shoulders with some of the most famous men in all of the West. Billy the Kid, Jesse James, and Bruce Cassidy. But can you really believe everything that Silas says? The story is actually really good. While it's not the greatest in the world, this unique device allows for this dynamic and fluid narrative structure where the events can be embellished or altered for really dramatic effect. And I have to say, they are really great. Yes, the story isn't amazing, but I love when the game just decides to go with it. There's a lot of really good moments in there, such as the story changing right before your eyes when Silas Greaves can't remember certain situations. Or he tells a very impossible situation and then he says, well, there's a ladder right over there. And then a ladder appears right in front of the player. It's some real good stuff. And as the game continues, it just makes the story a little bit more interesting throughout. Even the patrons of the salon sometimes jump in to add things to the story and where he would say not. It's a great little fiction and fact as well, since you are meeting actual historical figures, but they like to throw a little bit of fiction in there. His story very much reminded me of like a Wild Wild West hero story, you know, something like the Clint Eastwood films. Since many of the characters that we know of, Billy the Kid, Jesse James, Cassidy, etc., are all like heroes, you know, Wild West heroes that the media has portrayed, and this game does exactly that. Greaves comes off as like a superhero in many cases, as he has duels with the fastest gun in the West, take on entire towns, killing people that were never killed in the first place, and coming up against entire army but willing to survive. It's really well done. Now, is it the greatest story? No, it's never going to compare to the likes of Red Dead Redemption 2, but what is here is really good. The predictable ending is a bit boring, and I didn't like the choice you do at the end of the game, since the game doesn't really have you making choices, but I really do love the narrative structure they did into it. It reminded me like something like Bastion, where whatever you did, the game would kind of like narrate what you're doing and it will play in your favor, but in this game, Silas is presenting the story, so he will make changes here and there and you will just have to go with it. You could play an entire section and he'll be like, wait, did that really happen? Oh, no, it didn't happen like that. And then the game just changes. It's so good to see it play out. That Wild West story, you know, the myths, the legends, really helps bring the story much more to life, because even the patrons would tell you like, oh, that's not how that happened. He was killed by somebody else. That's not how it happened. It was done somewhere else. So yes, I really love that. Now, while yes, it's not historically accurate in a lot of the stuff, throwing the fiction in there and making Greaves like the silent hero has been to nearly every one of these famous things makes it a much more funner story. And this plays in as well with the visuals, the graphics, and the voice acting. The Silas Greaves voice actor is fantastic. Whenever he speaks, he just drags you into the story. It's really, really good. As for the graphics, they go with this very shell-shaded style of graphics, which I think I really enjoy, because the biggest issue you had with games that are set in the West is that they don't really look that good. They can look like really boring and bland because they don't really have a lot of color to show. But this game, it does a good job of really bringing out the color in the game. And while at first I did have a boring expectation of going to a farm or going to a small town, it really starts to show a lot of its color when it starts going to swamps and trains. The level design really does make it real fun, you know, real good arcadey fun. And the graphics just help bring that out. As for the cutscenes, I really love them. Like I said, the story is very much a Wild West hero story, and the freaking comic book style they go with is really, really good. It really brings that story out to life, and because of that, it's like a graphic novel that you're just flipping through. You're reading a graphic novel. There's not really any like in-game cutscenes except for like a couple, and I think that's a bit of a shame because they do a lot of detail on these characters, so you can see like how they look. But they never really do like real big in-game cutscenes, which is a bit of a shame. But yes, I love everything about this game's story, the design, the audio is also really good. The music, for some reason, is really, really well done. I really enjoy it. Overall, this is a good package for a narrative tale. The story, while predictable and won't probably be remembered, is fun and interesting. I'll definitely come back and play it. The graphics play into that story, so does the music and the voice acting. All of it brings out this real great like graphic novel aesthetic, and I just love it because when I was playing this, it made me want to go and watch like Western Clint Eastwood films and old Western titles because I couldn't get enough of when I was playing it. I was like, I gotta go and watch some of those films. So a good job that Gunslinger does here. Is it amazing overall? In some places the graphics don't really hold up, but overall it still works and it's still a great time to go around. It isn't just backdrop, there is some narrative to it. Especially as Silas Greaves continues his tale, you know, and he goes further into it since he's recounting his entire life. You get to see him start out, I just want to find my killers, to kind of becoming the monster he was hunting down. Like, there's something there. And while they don't delve very deep into it, I think I really do like that. I think that's very fun as well. Now, when it comes to gameplay, Gunslinger is very much an arcadey shooter style gameplay. It's nothing super deep, but what is here is really, really fun. Everything plays to this game being very fast-paced, very actiony, very arcadey, and I love that about this game. First of all, let's talk about the gunplay, because that's what you're mainly going to be doing in this game. You get a good variety of guns. You've got your six shooters, you can dual wield them, you have a long-range weapon, and you have like an explosives. Your long-range weapon would either be a rifle or a shotgun. They all play very well and they all shoot very well, and there's nothing wrong with that. As for the gunplay, anybody you shoot or kill, you accumulate points and a combo score, and you basically want to keep trying to keep the combo happening as fast as you can. So you have to keep killing enemies very, very quickly, which adds into your experience, which then you can use to level up with the level up systems. If you do a headshot, you get more points. If you do a body shot, you get more. If you shoot dynamite that's around the area or throw dynamite, you'll be able to do more damage. It's all about how fast you can move. If you kill enough, you'll go into concentration mode, where it like slows down, highlights the enemies for you, and then you can shoot them well. You can shoot them, which allows you to get your combo up faster without having to lose a lot of like time. And then you also have like a last death like animation style, where if you have that like full, you have the ability to dodge one death-defying bullet at the last second, and you have to decide which way it's going. So if the bullet's coming from the left, you're dodging left, you're dodging to the right. If it's coming from the right, you're dodging to the left, so you can really get out of it. It's really, really good. All of these systems work really, really well. Now, when it comes to the level up system, Call of Juarez used to always have like 2 protagonists you get to play as, and each one played completely different from the counterpart. In this game, they don't only have 1 protagonist, but they make you basically build out the character you want. You have 3 different sections of stuff you can level up, which is your 6 shooters, your rifles, and your shotguns. At first, there's pretty simple stuff like you can get more ammo. If you kill with the rifle, you get more combo meters. If you do this in more concentration mode, you get that. Eventually, you build all the way till having a new weapon. You can unlock a new weapon. But there are some really good combo systems. So if you don't use the shotgun at all, which I hardly ever did in this playthrough, but you like using the rifle and the 6-shooters, you can build out a class of just you and the 6-shooters. And again, you can replay these levels over and over again and just keep trying to up your score, because at the end of the day, you get a big report showing your accuracy, how you shot, what was your best weapon, and all of that stuff plays out so that you can try and go back. Seriously, I loved the combo system in this game, and this arcadey style just made me keep wanting to go back. I was like, I need to get a better score. I need to kill better. I know I can kill faster. There are other modes later on in the game that you can play, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But then we also have these duels, these quick duels basically, and it's another feature in here. We all know the tales, the old west tales of two men walking 10 paces, turning around, and then whoever pulls the gun first, gets killed. And in this game, they take that same concept and they put it in here. This time around, you have basically two ways to shoot. You have to focus on your enemy, and then you got to move your hand in the right direction. And each of this has a percentage meter, right? The higher percentage meter you shoot, the more accurate you are, so you can bring out your aim much faster. And then the higher percentage your hand is to your gun, it means the quicker you can draw your gun and then shoot it. This is actually quite difficult. I died a couple of times with it. As you know, there's some... And the guy's always moving around, the shooter's always moving, he doesn't stay still, so you gotta move it. You also have to watch your hands, so there's a lot going on when it comes to it. I died quite a number of times trying to get it just right, but once I got the flow of it, it really was really good. What's great is that there's a lot of times the game likes to change up these duels. Sometimes they shoot faster than you, now you have to dodge. Other times it could be more than just one enemy. It really plays into all the different ways you can make the duels a lot more interesting, and again, that also plays into your final score. I love it. Even though I found those duels quite tough, I did love it. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, can get somewhat stale in certain areas, and if you do play this game on a harder level, the enemies can be really cheap a lot. The AI isn't as smart as other AI, they're pretty dumb in some places, but they will try to cut you out, The combo meter is, while it's awesome and great, sometimes it does leave you from trying to really experiment, because it goes away so fast. If you don't kill an enemy very quickly, then boom, your combo's out and you gotta restart. So it can be pretty crazy. I do think as you level up, it becomes a lot better. Now there's two other modes to talk about in here, which is the scenario mode and then the big duel mode. Basically, scenario mode is basically a whole run through a section, and you try to complete that mode as fast as you can while still having some objectives you have to complete. You can also bring in some buffs, and you can also have some obstacles that are thrown at you. And it's basically taking that story mode element that you have and throwing one level at it, and you running with it as far as you can, and you keep trying to keep your combo meter up. This is hella fun. I loved it. I just loved trying to see what I can unlock, who can I play with, and how much faster I can do it. It's fantastic if you just want to take your brain off and play for like a good 10-15 minutes. Definitely a nice mode to have with a bit of distraction. There is like a 2-player mode in this where you guys try to complete the objectives, but it's okay, it's not amazing. Then you have duels. Now duels are basically the same thing as in the game, but now you have like 5 tries and you have to go through as many duels as you can. And I'm not the best at this game in the duels, so I died a bunch of times. But basically, it's just taking those duels and then consolidating them into one small area. And again, a great mode. All of these modes played really well. The game isn't that long. I'm seriously, it's like 3-5 hours, maybe even less than that, 5 to 7 hours if you're not looking for anything. And then you have New Game Plus mode that you can play afterwards, which makes the game a bit more fun. As for anything else you can find in the game, there are collectibles called gold nuggets. And these are basically small collectibles that give you a bit of historical context on the people that you might have never known in the West, such as Boot Cassidy, Billy the Kid, all of these Doc Hutchinson, all of these characters that you can meet or you've been talking to. They give you some good historical stuff. If you never knew any about this, it's really good. You get like a small portrait and you get to read about these OK Corral incidents, or all these incidents that have happened, all the heroes that the media has made. And this is really good. As for level design, I think they're all really cool. They're okay. The levels for some reason are really big. Like, they're super large for no reason. Literally, you could start the mission and you wouldn't be able to, if you literally turn around or go straight down, you can run very far for no reason. It's just big for the sake of big. But once you get into like the actual fighting and the shooting, the level starts to really become much smaller because you're only concentrated on that path. But I don't know why they made the level so big. Like, you can go really far for no reason. The design does get a bit better as you go from the fields to towns to eventually a train, swampy area where it becomes a bit more harder to see, or you run much slower. A train, you gotta be on the train at one point, you gotta climb on a train. So there's a good variety when it comes to the level design, especially there's another place where you come up to a graveyard and you have some ghosts that you have to fight. All of this plays into the level design. I think it starts to get a lot better, you know, because sometimes you're very much in small areas and then sometimes you are in big areas, like a whole like long road that you have to go through in this village. And I love all of it. It's really, really good. Now, like I said, it's just a fun gameplay. There's some downsides here and there. I think the leveling up system, while you can build it out to what you want, you're not going to get everything in your first run, and you're probably only going to get it in your second run. But it's a simple game. It's fun to play. There's nothing like immediately wrong with the gameplay, and everything about it is fun. Call of Juarez Gunslinger is an old school shooter. It's also really fun to play. Never once was I bored by the gameplay. Never once did the story really take me out, serving more as a backdrop just to get to the really awesome and fun gameplay. And while the story isn't amazing and very predictable, it was a great time. I would definitely replay this game. The length is perfect too, from 3 to 5 hours, and the graphics just give this extra sheen to the game. Makes it way more memorable than I think it should actually be. This truly is an underrated gem, and something I think everyone should pick up. If you are looking to get this game, I do believe it's on Ubisoft's Plus service. It's also available on Switch and on PC. All those consoles, I don't think you can really get it on, and it may be on Game Pass, I'm not 100% sure, but you can always find it for a very cheap price, and I would recommend it. If you're looking for something for a good time and just want to play something set in the West, but also has some really good mechanics, then Gunslinger is for you. I give this a play when it's on sale. And that's the video. If you guys liked the video or liked the review, please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share it if you want to. You know, all the usual YouTube stuff. Tell me down below what other games you want me to do, or how did you like Gunslinger first of all? If you enjoyed it, when did you play it? When did you find out about it? That would have been really cool. If you want to see my other reviews, I've got one on Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and another on Ubisoft's only real RPG that they've done in a very long time, Child of Light. You can check those ones out too. I'll see you guys in the next game.